we go a long way back. And in addition to that, and probably more important, we both come from families that were very, very active in the civil rights movement. My family is from Mississippi, and they were very, very involved. And of course, you know Michael's history because he is the son of Julian Bond. So we have that connection as well. So when I thought about, you know, who I could invite to do this actual Zoom meeting and who would be a good person to talk to and to be able to speak to some of the issues that we were concerned about, of course, I didn't have to think any further than my classmate, someone that was right in my back door. So we are so happy to have you with us, Michael. You know, Black Women in Radio strives to support Black women in radio and to uplift those women and recognize the contributions of women in radio. But in addition to that, we've started something new, which is our community initiative, to look at things and issues that are affecting our community. And as Black women in radio, we feel that we are most qualified to do that.
All right.
So I want to ask you, Michael, in your opinion, if racism is the disease in this country, what is the cure?
Well, I think racism, systemic racism across the board is a real disease for America. It has been a problem and has plagued America since actually before its founding. I think the only cure, though, is to look at our society for those who are decision makers, those who are industry leaders, those who are political leaders, to grapple with finally putting an end to the Civil War, finally saying that African Americans are legitimate Americans, they are full human beings, that we are not on the lower tier of society because of our color. We're not there on the lower tier so that we're the permanent bottom rung of the strata in America among different peoples. And until you have people doing that, people who control industries, people who control institutions, coming forward to make that acknowledgement, a lot of people aren't going to follow along. I mean, I really am not a supporter of our current president. Of course, we don't want America to fail in any way, but I don't like his style. I don't like his demeanor. I don't like the way that he carries on. I don't like the way that he panders to those who are divisive and destructive. But I think what good that has come out of that is that there has been this push, an unintended push, I'm sure, on his behalf to cause people to talk about race and the status of the different peoples in the United States. And I think with the demonstrations that have gone on for the last week, the motivating movement that was pre-existing to that, the Black Lives Movement, the Don't Shoot movement, the I Can't Breathe movement coming out of New York. Those things I think now have kind of folded in together and have forced it before the nation. You know, unfortunately, there's a large part of America that never gets to confront issues in the African American community or deal with the African Americans, just, you know, because of the way the country is laid out, the way communities are settled. You know, so a lot of people, for them, this is new. You know, this is a new dynamic. You know, these issues are new. But unfortunately, if you're Black, brown, tan, yellow, these are issues that we know all too familiar. So to have the acknowledgement of those folks who are the controllers of industry, the controllers of institutions, to come out and say that this is in fact a problem that we are going to deal with, that we are going to come out and acknowledge that these things that have divided us in the past, or that we've allowed to divide us in the past, we're just no longer going to tolerate anymore. And that we're going to embrace all of the peoples in the United States as equals. And, that's a conversation that really, it hasn't happened. We had hoped that it happened with the passage of legislation. We had hoped that it would pass. It happened with, political gains and societal gains. But it just has to be an acknowledgement amongst people that we're not going to tolerate this type of characterization of a certain section of people in the United States. And we're not going to continue to teach our children to do the same wrongs that our forebears did.